Those sleigh bells ringling, jing, jing, jingling. Hey, hi, welcome back to another haphazard production with your host, Lance Renard. Another Up Your Nose edition. I wanted to come on briefly and just mention a couple of details. My last operation in taking down essentially a meth lab. I won't beat around the bush. And, basically, I can see why they wear hazmat suits because of the fact that it doesn't really take a whole lot of inhaling that vicious chemical. And what is it? Ammonia, hydroxy ammonia. Yeah, man. Wow. It just doesn't take much at all. And you go, well, you have to smoke it to have it coming out of your skin. No, you don't. Actually, ingestion can be just by inhaling the air that the crap is in. And FYI, it smells like cat urine on a regular basis. That's kind of the identifying scent. You walk into the room, it's like somebody urinated all over the room is the sort of a hue that it has. But as I mentioned, it does not take a whole lot to get pushing out of your skin. So I've got itchy eyes, and it looks like kind of like allergies. And you say, oh, I must be developing allergies because my eyes are itching and I'm getting these little particles out of them. Right, that's the anhydroxous ammonia that had gotten into your system and is working its way back out. We have these wonderful bodies that will push that crap out. And however, it will come out in the most sensitive areas, like in the corners of your mouth, on your tongue, in your eyes, and around your eyes. And it will be like a rashy, sort of allergic reaction sort of thing, where you start getting puffed up, and it's really, it'll make you look a little scary. Mine isn't too severe, but this eye is a little closed because of that garbage in my system. Now, I know I should have walked in a hazmat suit, but when you're doing things in a black ops situation and, letting people know that, you're one of the guys, everything's cool, or good, and, that's not about narking on people. It's about saving lives of these insidious demons that would just as soon destroy everybody for a dollar bill. Money is not more important than people, folks. Money is paper, and that's all. You don't destroy lives and destroy children's lives because you want paper. Now, as I mentioned in my past videos, the past new videos, if our society weren't so oppressive, people wouldn't be doing these dastardly things. There are other ways to, put things together. But then people start depending on the addictions of others and encouraging the addictions of others and kind of like going, come on into hell with me. Come on into hell. Everything's fine. And so this demon that I had just, how do you say, put the mirror binding on. One of my favorites, the mirror binding. If you can spell, yeah, that's going to be absolutely ended by the time I return to that area. But there are always consequences for your actions, whether or not you think there are. And very often the shadow walks in and says, time to go, bye-bye. I've got a special delivery just for you. And that's important to the security of the people and the safety of the children and the mindsets of people that trust each other. People will trust somebody and then they'll go, hey, here, let me help you out here. See, you can take some of this and you'll feel a lot better. Yeah. Well, at the age of 64, I've pretty much done everything there is to do. Not pretty much, absolutely. In my years of experience. And live and learn, but in the same respect, do you want to expose innocent people and children to that kind of vicious entity? Or would you rather risk your freedoms in life in order to snub out that detail? And I am the second of the two. Once again, the peace sign. Whoops, he must be a demon. Yeah, bite me. I work with fucking angels, dude. If you ain't got it, don't get it. Go bye-bye. Ain't got a problem with that. This misconstruence of realities. People look at the absolute truth like the sun is right there. And they go, well, I'm not sure if it's daytime or not. Well, too bad. I don't need you around. No offense. But, negatory. Obviously, in the area that I am driving through, there's a paper mill. I don't know if you've ever smelled a paper mill before. But if I were to describe it, it would be highly offensive for me to say those words. So let me just say, wow, there's a paper mill. I can see it from here. Big billowing piles of sticky ass smoke. And yeah, so now you know what part of Oregon I'm in. And did I say don't forget to donate your organs? Anyway, beautiful terrain, the absolutely fantastic clouds. Oh, and the reason I mentioned that that other operation that I was doing, so there's a little bit of the, my eyes a little bit more shut because it's processing out the softer skin, which will maybe take a day or two, but will absolutely look like allergies and the scab or itchy kind of stuff. Skin ointments don't help. If you ever find yourself in a position where you are recovering from that sort of thing, the best thing to mitigate the situation is bone broth. I know. I'm advertising the slaughter of animals. Well, they've been slaughtering the hell out of them and just throwing them in holes lately. And right, bone broth helps to regenerate your skin cells much more quickly. And so in my next stop, hopefully there'll be a spot where I can grab some bone broth and just pound the whole box of it. And that will help me, won't help my stomach that much, but it'll help my skin regenerate much more quickly. FYI. And then, of course, there's B12 and vitamin E, which are also quite beneficial to the regeneration of skin cells. But the nerve synapses and the synapses, I should say, they take a little longer to regenerate. And if you've ever heard of the adage that when you drink you get smarter, technically I can see that is true because of the fact that we have these dead brain cells that are shun away when you start drinking. It drops the dead ones, just gets rid of the weakest of the herd, and then you are or seem to be more intelligent because you have more access to your functions, your cerebral functions and such, for a short period. Now, if you continue to drink, now you start breaking down and putting layers of dead cells over it. And so the next morning you wake up and you're like, I can't remember anything. Or, you're really slow in the functions that you are commonly much quicker in thinking. And that is because of the constant regeneration that your body does. Such an amazing thing. So lots of water, lots of fluids. I encourage vitamin C, natural vitamin C that is. And, like eating lemons or oranges, that sort of thing, natural vitamin C. And if you take a lemon, you can slice it up into, slices. Take 3 slices, put it in a glass of water, and put it in the microwave until it's hot. And this releases a lot of oxidants that are quite good for the body as well, and help your immune system, help you process any possible poisons or toxins that you may have taken in. And in my job, function in my function, I am in precarious situations where I do expose myself to the toxicities of man, risking my life and freedoms for your benefit. And to get the cockroaches, or I should say snakes, out of the garden. Because if we leave the snakes in the garden, the children will be attacked eventually. And forewarned is forearmed. I always give warning to people long before their disillusion of what they thought was a good idea when it was actually endangering the lives of the people. And these are the ways of the world in this haphazard universe. And now, as far as meeting up with the leaders and the mountain man, I have been taking my temperature, as I mentioned. I've been monitoring my situation, condition, and position, and making sure that I do not endanger anybody with any sorts of contagious antigens, germs, etc. And so that's very important for me to keep people safe. However, going into some urgent care ward and getting myself on some kind of grid is not the best idea for the operations that I am pursuing and continuing at this point. And so I'm being upfront and honest to an umpteenth degree with my people with the hat. And right, the things that will destroy people are a major concern of mine, but I don't get into like the DEA and that sort of thing. Right, because of functional realities that, hey, come on, give me a break. I got a tough one here working for the CAC and doing what he says to do for the sake of the nation, because if we don't, I can see the FEMA camps filling up. And I know I call them FEMA camps, but right now they aren't. At this moment, there are other, facilities, maybe a hotel, motel, or a hospital ward, or that sort of thing. I'm not going to get into the doctors saying that they're being paid off to write down COVIDs. So if a guy dies from skydiving, or a guy dies from his wife shooting him, or hit by a bus, the doctors get $3,000 per COVID, which is what I've seen videos of doctors putting out. Doctors have been recently fired, that is, and for doing it, for telling the truth. So I'm not going to get back into the CDC and what a seedy bunch they are. Not going to get into it. And there are other details where nurses are saying they're literally giving chest compressions to people who have a pulse. You don't do that. I have advanced CPR, advanced first aid, advanced lifeguard training, and you don't start pumping on somebody's chest if they have a heartbeat. You only do it if they don't. Remember that. And I'm not going to go through CPR. Annie, are you okay? However, knowing what you're doing and doing it, and sometimes not knowing what you're doing and doing it the wrong way can really damage people. There was a time when a man was choking nearby me, and I was in a restaurant reading a newspaper. I was on my way to a church to photograph all the families as a church photographer. Hey, hi. But sitting there waiting for my breakfast to show up, looking at the newspaper. They used to have those way back in the old days when we rode the dinosaur. And I heard a big crash boom, and I'm sitting there looking at the paper. I figured the busboy probably just dropped the tray, right? And then on the other side of this partition, I hear a guy go, "Does anybody know CPR? My friend just hit the floor. He's choked on his meat." Don't go there. So I know from my training that this man has 6 minutes before he begins to suffer brain damage from a lack of oxygen. And so I'm going, okay, well, I'll give him 3 minutes to see if somebody else will get up and assist, because I'm highly reluctant in that particular situation, because when you save somebody, they often end up suing you. I know that's crazy, but it's true. And this is part of your advanced CPR training when you hear these stories, because they're true. And so I'm waiting, and is there a doctor? And so 2.5 minutes went by, going on 3. I go, I know CPR, I can help. And I come around, and there's this big guy, and I don't mean really tall, I mean really rotund. And so he's bearded. I get down there, I listen, there's no breath coming out of him. I kick his head back even further and try and get that airway open, and still no breath coming out of the guy. And so I know that his airway is blocked. So at this point now, you don't start doing chest compressions to push that out. You do the Heimlich maneuver. No puns, you guys. I heard that. Stop it. Heimlich, excuse me, Heimlich maneuver is where you take your little finger, put it in a person's belly button, spread your hand thusly. It's not a fucking sign. Stop it too. You put this hand, belly button, finger in the belly button. The thumb comes up to the as far as you can go, like that, and then you put your fist over the top right on their chest, just above your thumb, and that is where you grab a hold of your fist and you pull it right into the guy's chest or person's chest to get that air to force out whatever chunk of whatever's there and open up that airway. And so I pump, and this is a big ass guy, so I had to sit down on my feet, spread my legs, pull him back up so his back is on me, and we're just like, I'm giving him a big hug. And I do the measuring up from his belly button, and right. And so then just force it, and then lay him down, kick the head back, listen for air. If there's no air, check the airway, or if you can see it. Piece of anything, and up again, and do it again, boof, boof. And I actually heard kind of a pop, like if you took a bottle with a cork in it, and it was plastic, and you squeezed it, and went kind of a thing, but it wasn't quite that definitive or loud, but I could hear that pop, sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, great, we got it out, got the meat out, or whatever. And I did ask, what was he eating prior to doing this? And yeah, it was steak. And so after hearing that, I pulled the head back. I got a little wheeze, and I'm like, yes. I checked for any obstructions, and popped him up again and did it again. And then I could hear more of a rather than just a sort of thing. And checked once again for obstructions, and then kicked the head back and started doing CPR mouth to mouth with this big burly guy, all bearded and sweaty, and and I'm making out with him, blowing air compressor and looking for his chest to rise as I blew my air. It's kind of like a balloon, trying to blow up a balloon with his head kicked way back. You got to pinch the nose, and you got to crank that head back, but don't break their neck. That costs extra. So then he's like, I get the air coming in, I kick him back up again, and I give him a couple more compressions, and the guy elbows me right in the face. I mean, dead in the face. This is a big boy, probably, conservatively 270, 280 pounds, and took one right in the jaw from his sweet little elbow for saving his life. And no big deal. Can't blame a man for elbowing a guy who's making out with him. At any rate, after being elbowed and knocked back into the table behind me, I got up and walked back to my table while his friend was consoling and informing his buddy, who had decided to be a glutton with meat. and not pay attention to the amount that he was eating. So I sit down at my table. My hands are shaking. My whole body is shaking from the adrenaline that I just pumped, or my body had just, got pumped full of. And my breakfast shows up, steak and eggs, over medium with whole wheat toast. Yeah, wasn't real hungry at that particular juncture. However, his friend comes around. He goes, man, the paramedics just got here, and they said you saved his life. He would have died, man. And I just got to thank you. And what's your name? I'll never forget. And I said, well, my name's Lance. And I was going to say Renard, but he goes, well, Larry, I really appreciate that. And I said, well, just remember Larry. Because you get sued if you pop that chunk of meat down into the lung. A lot of the time, those guys will sue you because of the fact that they got a chunk of meat, they have to have it removed. They want somebody else to pay for it, and the guy that saved them is responsible for the payment. So, yeah, the just desserts of paying or praying, whatever. So these are the ways of the haphazard universe: saving lives, saving reason, and saving ignorance. Well, good luck with all that. Let's see. Speaking of which, today's joke. I was speaking with a woman, and I'm not sure where. I think she was from southern Tennessee, as a matter of fact. And she said, I have dated men from New York, and I've dated men from Africa, and I've dated men from Spain. And I said, well, I once dated a Brazilian. And she goes, a Brazilian? How many is that? Sorry about that. Dreadfully sorry. A Brazilian. See, she thought it was a number, but it was a... Okay. If I have to explain it, I'm getting a little too deep on the jokes. So, the time I saved a life, and what people can remunerate you with after you've saved their lives. Like an elbow in the face, not listening to your name, and it doesn't always pay off. But if it were to happen again, I can't say I wouldn't do it, because I really can't just sit by and watch people die like most of the people in our country have no problem with that. Apparently, it's giggly. When I talk to people about what's going on, they just get all funny and giggly. And I'm like, have you ever heard of treason? All right, I got a little gift for those who are into it, and it's about that big, and it's delivered by me, Federal Express, you might say. All right, like, comment, and unsubscribe if you're that damn shallow, and subscribe if you like good jokes and true stories. And I will not pull punches, guys. If I'm out and I pull down a meth lab, or if I'm out and I take out a fucking club of thugs that are hurting our society or hurting children, well, you don't like it. Tough. What are you doing? Get a hat. It's a start. And get the attitude that, we're not going to allow people to endanger other people. That's all there is to it. And I started this by saying that the drivers that are being most threatening in the states that I have seen, I suppose I ran across 5 or 6 on the way here to Washington State. After crossing the border in Washington State, within a couple of hours, there were 76. Rampantly insane, risking other people's lives, thinking that their speed and getting there is more important than your life. And I personally disagree. So I'm here for you guys. I'm not here for my own personal attitudes. I'm not here to worry about my friggin' health. If I call my own demise trying to save people, at least it occurred for a good reason. So once again, I am quite adamant and looking forward to speaking to you in a very short order. But I am delayed because I have to make sure that my personal position does not jeopardize anybody else's. And that is going to take probably 8-9 hours of processing time and checking my vitals and all of that. Because it's just something I do because I like me too. And I prefer not to see me go, off into this, off into that dark night. And so, love you guys. And well, not all of you. I mean, some of you I just like a lot. Love is a degree of caring. So if you care at all, you love. That's all. What can I tell you? The truth, as I see it. Thanks for playing. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. And all of this processing has a lot to do with all the hot air coming out of my mouth. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Yeah? Chris Carter and Jackie Chan. Name that show. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks for playing.